Are these on?
Mine is.
Okay. You would join me for the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much, and welcome. Well, we have some agenda items. First ones would be the regular meeting minutes of April 2nd, special meeting of April 9th. Has everybody had a chance to look at them?
Did I hear there was a correction?
Yes. On the April 2nd one, it said that I worked on the mitigation, and I didn't. I just reported on it, so I didn't want to take credit for it. Dan Orchard did it, actually. He did a lot of work.
And if you did something wrong.
Well, hey, I hadn't thought about that.
Which one's the agenda?
The bottom of the newer ones.
Hey, I have an extra one for you.
It's right in front of me.
Yeah. Oh.
So are we looking to have a
So-
motion to pass the consent agenda items,
Yes.
A and B? I would move to pass consent agenda items, A and B, with the correction to the minutes.
I do hear a second.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye?
So moved. Action items 3, A, B, and C. Would somebody like to read the amounts, not necessarily the voucher numbers, but the amounts, or do you want me to read it?
Also I have is the amount for B.
Oh, okay, well, here it is. General fund vouchers, $38,892.67. Payroll vouchers, $15,418.98. Which are included, thank you for clarifying, yes, which are included in the general fund. Payment water fund vouchers, $172.60. Do I hear a motion to accept action items A, B, and C?
I have a question on an invoice.
Okay,
Keating Consulting Services, $950. Seems like an awful lot for a single month.
From who?
Keating
Charles.
Consulting
Oh.
Services.
Uh,
Review
for-
projectors.
no, well, I asked him for some recommendations on those for you. Asked me about the ones for here. And I'm looking at Amazon and some other places
So
for
he
'em.
charged us $142 to make.
Well, he sent me some recommendation. It
Okay.
wasn't a telephone conversation. It was, he did some research on it and sent them to me.
So he charged us $142.50 for that.
I guess so.
Policies for retention.
Yeah, there's some new rules governing what we have to do for credit card stuff. And he talked to me about that, as well as retention and, what's the word I'm looking for here? Filing of our emails. I know that's been a hot button issue for you for a while, so.
It might have been done. TVL on-site carpenter system blocking updates, 3.5 hours, $332.50.
Yeah, he was here for however long it said. We're still trying to sort out the issue with the copier and scanning stuff to where we can scan more than one document and then not have to go in and delete it. And it's been a situation between us and Kelly Imaging about what works and what doesn't, and it's everybody blaming everybody else for it.
And 2.5 hours on delete 0356, EXT users, load into MailChimp, check search MRM.
Oh, that was getting all of our mailing list stuff organized and out of Office 365 and set up by itself into a separate mailing
Yeah, and
list.
I spent a figure out how to do it, and I couldn't.
That was my question.
Hey, while we're at it, I noticed that the grading and the rock for the parking lots, and then we have a new bid coming up.
Right.
What was, now, all the grading and the rock, so that was just for the
That was,
Allyn Park?
yeah, that's everything. That's the North Shore parking lot.
And this?
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the new bid for?
Taken where they cleared off we took those danger trees down next to the parking lot at the dock.
Gotcha, now I remember.
And-
Okay, we can
yeah.
talk about that then. Now I
Yeah,
remember,
and it's
thanks.
on here for discussion.
Yep. Okay,
I would move to approve action items A, B, and C.
I second.
all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, so moved. Okay, commissioner reports. Scott, you got something?
Two port meetings, I believe.
Yep,
And I did go to the EDC meeting, some good discussion about hiring of a new executive. It was our first meeting with the interim executive, Jim Toomey, who's doing a really good job in my opinion. He's going to help write the job description for the new position. And I think, as I've said before, if somebody good comes in, they'll probably snag him or her.
Great.
Rather than waiting for so long because of such a tight job market. So in the past, they've got good applicants, and then when we finally got around to calling them up for interviews, they'd already been hired somewhere else. And so yeah, tight job market. I went to the chamber luncheon where the hospital Franciscan talked there about the new project in Silverdale. And I went to, and the mobility study group was there. And I think it's, I didn't go as a port member, I just went for the luncheon and the talk, but there's a lot going on in North Mason and the area. I mean, I know we're not taking positions on things, but there's a lot going on. Roundabouts and suggestions for future roundabouts, and I mean, I heard from them that there was, oh, this gas station's going there, and I was like, hey, tell me about the gas station, and he pointed it on a parcel, and there was a gas station going to the hill, which a lot of people
Really?
didn't know about, and yeah,
ooh, interesting.
it is interesting,
Okay.
yes, a lot going on.
I attended the two meetings in April, and then I finally got the information that executive director put together for the criminalization of the marina rolls down to the sheriff's department. So I'm hoping that we hear something within the next week, so we can have a dialogue. What I'm hoping is that in June, representative from the sheriff's department's here that can explain their position and what options we have after Larry and I have a chance to speak to them after they digest the information. So, and that was about it.
That's great. Making headway. Did, of course, the two port meetings, Oyster House meeting, and I guess I can wait before I give any information on that one. PRTPO on the 20th. On that PRTPO, the only thing that's really shaking and moving with that, matter of fact, Randy was there, is there's 15 PRTPOs, or regional transportation planning organizations in the state, and the Peninsula Regional Transportation Organization, the one that I'm a member of, that's in all this district, Mason, Jefferson, Clallam, we're the only one who has WashDOT staff, Department of Transportation staff. So Washington Department of Transportation we are not going to have them be our staff anymore. So we're working on that. So some of the monies that we get from the state will have to go to paying somebody, whereas before staff from WashDOT did all that. I'm not really sure what started all that, but we were the only ones that had staff paid not by us. So that's been kind of a new thing. We're working on deciding what to do with that and doing all the learning all the RCWs and all that. So if you want more information, there's everything that I got from the meeting. The Complete Street Award, that is a grant system. Port doesn't really qualify for any of those, so, but it's state and cities, mostly cities, that apply for the grants. So again, if you're interested in any of that, then go ahead and take a look. And of course, I went to the North Mason Community Voice. Mindy gave a good report on the projects that are going on in our district, and there was good support with that. And on the 21st, there was Tahuya Forest Cleanup Day, and there were about 50 people that showed up that myself and the crew fed. So it was really great. Had a lot of good people. And as Larry will attest to, on the 3rd and the 26th of April, we met with Dan Griffey, and I think Randy was there, and Dan is willing to try to get some funding for our projects up here. So he's been in our corner. Appreciate that. Okay, that's it. I think Travis, you're on.
Usually Larry goes before.
Oh, you're right. I missed you. I'm sorry, you're
I know
right.
the intro. What's going on?
He wasn't ready.
I was just excited. There you go.
Okay. Northwest Water Systems has resubmitted our updated water system plan to the state after responding to the letters from Department of Ecology and Department of Health with what they wanted to have modified in the plan. Spoke with Doug Peel from Northwest Water Systems on the day he submitted the plan last week, and he asked for a copy of our resolution approving the plan and sent me some paperwork I had requested from him. For the moment at least, we're good to go until the state either approves the plan or remands it back to us for more work. As far as the franchise renewal with the county is concerned, we've submitted everything to the county that they need. Still has to go in front of the county commissioners for final approval. Spoke with Loretta Swanson last week, and she told me the county has changed how the approval process works. The new process eliminates the need for a public hearing, and she's hopeful the commissioners will do a review on May 15th and do the approval on May 22nd. Criminalization of the marina rules. I have nothing new to report on this. Commissioner Jackson and I have been trying to set up a meeting with the sheriff's office, and as you heard him say, he's gotten stuff to them that they need, so we're continuing to work on it, and hopefully I'll have this resolved sooner rather than later. Kitsap All Ports Association. We've been accepted as members of the Kitsap All Ports Association, with us being a neighboring port and a number of those ports having interests and facilities that parallel ours. I believe establishing that relationship is a good idea that'll be beneficial to us. Jack Bailey from the Port of Brownsville is the chair, and Jack and I already worked together on the WPPA Marina Committee. And it was he that originally invited me to attend their meetings. I've been to 2 meetings so far, and criminalization of marina rules is a very hot button issue for several of them as well as us. Endurus premiums, we received a letter from Endurus, our primary insurer, alerting us that premiums will rise approximately 10% for policy year 2019. I've included a copy in your meeting documents. For us, that translates into about a $1,500 increase over what we budgeted in 2018, bringing our annual premium to about $15,500. I also completed the online survey for our renewal of coverage and increased evaluations on all our structures to reflect increased replacement costs. Security upgrades, I've added this to your agenda for approval tonight. After speaking with, actually I didn't get to speak with all of you, I only got to speak to Scott and Ted, but everybody seems firmly convinced this is something we need to do. I met with IntelliSystems, a local company that does this and with whom we already do business, and their bid's on your agenda for discussion tonight. Presentation upgrades, Commissioner Cooper asked me to look into setting up a permanent presentation projector in this room. I'm researching this and narrowing down our options. This will be on your agenda for discussion next month. And that's part of what the bill for Charles Keating was about. Bias software upgrade, we're continuing in the hands-on learning phase with Bias, and they've been pretty good about answering our questions, walking us through different situations as they arise. Chad from Bias has helped me through some training, but Leanne is so much further ahead than I am. However, I'm more than anxious to get up to speed on this as quickly as possible. We're continuing the training calls until they can accommodate me coming over there, and it shouldn't take more than 2 days once they facilitate me getting there to do it. Lobbyist. I wanted to get your take on the idea of hiring a lobbyist for the 2019 legislative session with the primary goal of securing funding for our projects, including the sports complex. We did this in Port Orchard, and the lobbyist we hired, Brianna Murray of Gordon Thomas Honeywell, cost us $25,000 a year. She got us $700,000 for the DeKalb Street Pier project first year. She also secured $400,000 the second year to finish that project and for part of the Bay Street pedestrian walkway. In other words, for $50,000 spread over 2 years, we received $1.1 million from the capital budget. To my way of thinking, it's a pretty excellent return on investment. While Brianna personally isn't accepting new clients, she now supervises a team of people she has personally trained. A lady named Shelley Helder runs that team, and I met with Brianna and Shelley late Friday afternoon. Included in your meeting packets is some information about Gordon Thomas Honeywell and what they do, along with a client list and a list of projects they have secured funding for over the years and the amounts. So my question is, do you want me to arrange a presentation on what they would bring to the table for us? That's on our agenda for discussion. Public record software, as I've reported previously, I've reached out to a number of other smaller and medium-sized ports to see if we can find some other ports interested in participating in the development cost of this software, which is about $30,000, for which I'll receive copies of the software and training. I've had a few inquiries, but no takers. I did, however, get an offer from Eric Johnson, WPPA, chair a roundtable discussion on this at the spring meeting in Vancouver this week, so we'll see what happens there. Running out the small office, as I reported last month, the ARC of Mason County has hired Patty Kleintz as its executive director, and the parent agency has rented our small office for her until they can get up and running. They began operations here May 1st, and we received a check for the May rent this morning. There's an issue with phone service that still needs to be worked out, and we don't know what volume of copies they'll be using our machine for. So we put in a code system that counts what they use in both color and black and white, and we'll charge them for those. At some point, they will need a larger facility, but I expect they'll be here for the best part of a year. EV charging stations, I wanted to get your feedback on the idea of adding some EV charging stations here at the park. I have a friend who's a former auto manufacturer PR guy who's now with ChargePoint, one of the companies involved in creating the infrastructure for the electric highway between the Canadian and Mexican borders. I've reached out to him about grant funding opportunities, and he connected me to their guy who handles that. Spoke with him last week, and he'll be sending me some information this week. My thought is, since we're already going to be adding electrical infrastructure with the Marina project, this might be an opportune time to pursue adding those as well, especially if we can get grant funding for them. I got 2 charging stations grant funded in Port Orchard in 2011 when EVs first started appearing. The city got a fair amount of publicity for doing this, including a story on Channel 7, and the charger saw a fair amount of use after we began promoting the city as a tourism destination to EV owners in Seattle using social media. It also created a new revenue stream for the city. But I wanted to see if you all are on board with this before I put a lot more work into it. U.S. Bank credit cards, as you know, we switched to U.S. Bank as our credit card provider because of their agreement with the State Department of Enterprise Services. We recently received a check for $44.07 for the rebate called for in that agreement. Property tax revenue, we received $102,363.59 in property tax revenue on May 1st. We'll also get another payment at the end of October, which is usually a smaller amount. We also made the annual $4,755 loan payment to the water fund from the water fund to the IDD that was due April 30th. Waterfront parking lots. We've had all our parking lots graded and new gravel put down. Putting down rock is something we do annually. However, we haven't really graded the lots for about 7 years from what I've been led to believe. Plus, we are using a different quality of rock this year for the first time. It's supposed to compact better so it'll last longer, as well as cut down on dust. With that in mind, while it was somewhat more expensive than what we've been doing, it should last longer, saving us money in the long term by having to do it less often. North Shore Dock parking lot, this is what you were asking about. We recently took down a number of danger trees on the property we own next to the North Shore Dock parking lot. We got a bid from Ron Griffey of just shy of $6,000 for digging out the stumps, leveling it, spreading rock, as well as regrading the road up to the wellhead. It's on your agenda tonight for discussion and possible action. A copy of the bid is included in your meeting packet. Rebuilding the arbors, as I mentioned a couple of months ago, a tree fell on one of the arbors at the waterfront park and had to be completely rebuilt. After that was done, I asked Don to restain the other one so they both look good. What he discovered is the other one had a lot of rotten wood in it and was ready to collapse as well. So I told him to just tear it down and rebuild it. Co-working space, I recently visited the Port of Chehalis' co-working project and was quite impressed. I think this could be a good fit for Belfair if we can find the right space. There's something similar on Bainbridge Island as well, although that one is a private sector venture. The issue here will be either finding and or building the right building for this to work, along with funding for it. It's the type of project where a lobbyist could be helpful. Wayfinding signs, we received an invoice from Hanson Signs for the wayfinding sign we agreed to participate in the cost of 2 years ago. It's in the vouchers you approved and is included in our 2018 capital budget. They're supposedly going to be put in place shortly. However, I wasn't happy with our placement on the drawing I saw of the sign and complained because we were told we would be on the top and we were on the bottom. So we'll see what happens. Probably won't send the check until this has been resolved. September meeting change date. Our September meeting falls on the 3rd, which is Labor Day. So what date would you like to reschedule the meeting for? That's on our agenda as well. 2018 budget adjustments. I expect some revenue and expense changes to the budget, so once we get the final numbers, I'll ask you to approve an amended budget. However, at this point, before doing it, I'd like us to be 100% up and running with bias so everything matches when we do this. Hopefully this will happen at our June 4th meeting. Vacation schedules, I'd like to take part of my vacation June 26th to 29th and part from July 3rd through the 9th. Still have 5 days left, but I'll deal with that later in the year. We have a meeting on July 2nd, and I'll be here for that. Leanne will be gone Wednesday and Friday of this week and Monday of next week. Don will cover the office this week since I'll be at the WPPA spring meeting, and I'll be here on Monday. Leanne is also planning a vacation September 13th to the 22nd. And that's my report.
On this one, I have old business.
We have a old business item here,
Okay.
and I do have some stuff for that, and I was just going to cover it under that.
All right, sounds good. Now, Travis.
I'll be willing to go now.
Okay.
Maybe I should move Travis and the agenda.
Oh, no, I like to hear it all. I like to stay if I can. Anyway, activity's starting to pick up, and the weather's nice. A lot of compliments this weekend on Saturday during the shrimp season on the graveling, so it's being noticed. Hopefully the broodiers stay out of it.
That'd be nice.
Yeah. Activity, yeah, definitely picking up, but nothing really, no real incidents to report. Just, a few people that are here late at night, and as soon as I pull in, they take off. I don't even get a chance to talk to some of them. Some of them I get the chance to talk to, and generally they're not up to anything nefarious. So, no, it's looking pretty good. One small item on the report was just a door issue, but we handle that well in-house.
Great. Perfect.
Was the
Thank
parking
you.
lot full this weekend?
Very full.
Very
In
full.
fact, we had, at a certain point, I actually stopped charging for parking because there was no parking
Right.
left. So, I mean, I don't want to charge people for parking and they park on the side of the road and something happens.
Right.
You know, they might try to come back on us in that scenario. So, it should be another full weekend on the next Saturday, so I'll be there as well. Wednesdays typically aren't very full, so I generally don't go down there on Wednesdays, but I think Dawn will probably go down there.
Did you find people surprised that it cost to use our launch again this year?
Oh yeah, there's always
Isn't that
a
funny?
surprise, but you see the same familiar faces
Oh, yeah.
each time.
Any I pay taxes I shouldn't have to pay for?
No, actually not this time. Yeah. You know, that you could see the grumblings of a few of them.
Yeah.
But, for the most part, it went really well. One of our the end of the month came, of course, and then all the regular monthly payers for the fall season, everybody left but one. So we still have one there that's accruing charges since the 1st, and he's been made aware that he's paying by the day.
Wow.
So he's still there, and it's now the 7th. So
Is he a regular?
he is a regular.
So we know.
Sometimes
He's
we,
paid through today.
Pardon?
Paid through today. He's paying nightly now.
yeah, he's paying nightly now. So you know, we don't mind when they're paying nightly. That's
Sure.
great. But no, he always pays his bills, so it should be good.
Travis, maybe jumping ahead, but
Sure.
if we were to get rid of the stumps there, can we fit a couple more vehicles in there?
If we're at the stumps, you mean like the stumps that are on the overflow parking on the backside? I would say probably. If they're going to remove some dirt and be able to push it back, especially if there's some type of retaining wall in there, we could probably fit some more in there. It needs to get wider.
Right. It is tight to bring.
Yeah,
back.
it is tight, and I believe the Shears own the property next door.
I think they do,
Yeah, they might be someone to talk to. I mean, Kevin was there launching his boat. He's always using the facility. I mean, yeah, it's always a possibility to talk to them. So, I mean, I went to school with Kevin, so.
Might be worth it. Great.
Okay. Thanks, Travis.
You bet.
Thank you. Okay. Old business. Marina project.
All right. I've received a packet of information from the Department of Commerce for this with a multitude of forms to complete and return to them. They're due on May 16th. I've read through all of them, have a pretty good idea what we need to do, so I'll have everything submitted to them on time. I'd previously contacted Art Anderson and Associates, a marine engineering firm, about giving us a price for engineering this project and an engineer's estimate of the overall cost. They're on the MRSC Small Works roster and are the ones who did the original cost estimate we used to submit the original grant request, which they did at no charge. They made a site visit out here 2 weeks ago, and Ben Anderson and I walked the dock and looked over what needs to happen. They've given us a price of $9,012 for the engineering and drawing the plans, so we can get this out to bid. I've included their bid in your meeting packet. He and I also discussed how much this project we can do in-house to save money. Also spoke with Don about it, as a lot of that work would fall to him and Brody. It seems that we can run the electrical and water conduit down the length of the dock from the street to the float. It's basically a case of gluing the conduit together and mounting it on unistrut. At that point, the electrical contractor and plumbing contractor would take over the job, but we should be able to save somewhere around $10,000 or more on the cost of labor and materials by having them do it. So,
Are the engineering costs included in this money?
yes,
Okay, great.
yes. Sweetwater Park, as Commissioner Scott mentioned, she and myself have met twice with Representative Griffey, Mindy Harlow, Commissioner Netherland, and some other folks at the Salmon Center twice now to discuss funding for the park and a development timeline. The strategy is to break the funding into several capital budget requests between us and the Salmon Center, as well as other grants. I will be doing a presentation to WWRP on May 14th with Mindy Harlow as part of the grant funding request she's written for this project. Representative Griffey has also promised to get us some additional money for the Oyster House. There's been 2 positive articles in the Shelton-Mason County Journal and the Kitsap Sun about the project as well. Mindy called me last week to ask if I'd heard anything from the North Mason School District about the property transfer letter, and I told her I had not. I did, however, speak briefly with North Mason School District Superintendent Dana Rosenbach at the monthly administrators meeting on Friday, and she told me their attorney should have a draft to her early this week, and she'll send me a copy. And then the Oyster House, I believe Commissioner Scott has the latest update.
Yeah, things are progressing. We met last month with Walter Galitsky, who's Sunpath Construction, and we've hired him to be our general contractor for it. And the downside is that the price for him to do the work is doubled, pretty much. But, you know, we don't have anybody else that's qualified or good at it, so that's why we need more money. We're working on, he's hired an engineer to do the plans for the building permit, so we're progressing along. We're going to have another meeting tomorrow night. I won't be here because I'll be at the Washington Public Ports Association meeting, but if you guys want to show up for that and get more information, Walter and Barry Betzinger, he's really active in it as well, and so we're moving forward a little bit at a time. The guy who is going to refurbish the windows, he's getting materials to do that, so he's slowly refurbishing them as well. So that's where we're at. Okay. Oh, I would, under old business, this is kind of old. As you know, I'm on the board, even though I have not attended, but I just want to make everybody aware, it's the Kitsap Peninsula Water Trails Alliance. And the port is named in it, even though we're not Kitsap, but we're part of the waterways. Mm-hmm. So I just want to make you guys aware that if you ever want to go to any of those meetings, let me know and I'll have them forward some information to you. Because we are on their maps, even though we're Mason. That's about it on that one.
I've got some old business
Sure.
to discuss.
Okay.
I was kind of hoping, I asked Larry to separate out from his director's report into old business that the projects we're currently working on. So I'm hoping that maybe we can have the discussion about, you know, like you're going to give us a report on where the Oyster House is, but maybe in a workshop or work session we could have a longer discussion about the Oyster House and,
Sure.
and how can the port do more, because here we have put in for a capital budget request for marina expansion, but we have other things in our capital plans and our scheme of harbor improvements that maybe the Oyster House could fit into. I know that Representative Griffey's now going to advocate for us, but I think if we advocate for ourselves, there is still a little bit of confusion. I mean, is it a port project? Is it a
North Bay Historical
North Bay
Society.
Historical project? You know, do we have Larry work on any of it, and then you're working on it as a port commissioner? And maybe we could just get together and kind of settle all that. And where
Sure.
should we be asking for money? Should we be asking for grant money? Larry was informed that he'd be writing grants for it, but we're not sure if it's our project or whose it is, and let's just settle it and get moving on it. And if there's more that we can do as a board, I'd like to do that. Absolutely.
It has been a little convoluted at one point, I think, but that's where, with the North Bay Historical Society taking the lead agency, it was just, not the lead agency, but them taking over trying to restore it. You know, one of the things that I've been trying to do is make sure that at least they can, well, first of all, we were trying to get grants through the Heritage Project, or the Heritage Grant. And Bonnie's the grant writer. I haven't been able to, I mean, she's going to try to put in another one. We lost out last time.
Didn't get the grant or didn't get it in?
We did not
time?
get it.
Yeah, okay.
We've gotten a very, I can't remember, there's a Solinsky, and I don't know if we qualified for that one either. But hopefully we can do something with that. I've been kind of letting the North Bay Historical Society try to do the fundraising, the grant for the restoration. Anything else, especially all of the shoreline, we definitely have, I think the port should do that. But if push comes to shove, I'm not quite sure what kind of agreement we need to change to, in conjunction with the North Bay Historical Society, to get it done.
Right.
Because it's really just been kind of about money. It's going to take
sure.
money now.
Yeah. And it's like the Sweetwater Park project. There's grants that we're eligible for that the Salmon Center isn't. Maybe there's
Yeah.
grants that we're eligible for that North Bay Historical Society, because they're a 501c3.
Correct.
So there's probably the same 8 grants that
Yep,
Salmon Center aren't eligible for, they're not eligible for, and we could help with that.
yeah,
Maybe, I know we're going to the spring conference, and maybe next month we could put a meeting together and kind of figure out
that'd be great.
what can we do as a board to get this going. I think Ted and I talked about, or we talked about it at the last meeting, that it's kind of the number one question of people, what are you doing with that house in
Well,
the
we need
parking
to,
lot?
yeah, we need to get it done.
Yeah, and if there's, I think the money's flowing a little freer, and if Representative Griffey's gonna help us, and
Yeah,
we kind of maybe need to figure out what he needs to help us with.
exactly. Yeah, I think that'd be great if we could have everybody,
I agree.
Move that
Understand
off
all
our
that.
plate as
yeah.
quickly as we can, but it may not be that quickly.
It's been forever, feels like it. But it'll be a good project once it's
And then it's the same with, Sweetwater. If we need to, rather than in our business meeting, if we need to meet separately, work session to
Yeah.
kind of go through each project as they come upon us.
It's great.
That's why I asked them to separate it out, so we could have more of a discussion or pull it into a work session. Because these are three
Excellent, yeah.
that are going right now, that
Yep,
we have a whole lot of other things that are kind of pending, but these 3 are important.
well, and I'd like to see us get these done so we can move on to the other things.
Right.
Because, we're not that big, we can't juggle that much all at once, I
Right.
don't think, so, effectively.
Larry and Leanne only have 40 hours in a week each.
And they don't even really, you don't work full-time, so.
That's true. Yeah. So
Okay.
60 for Larry, 20 for you.
Anything else? How about you, Ted, for
No.
old business? Anything? Okay. You want to move on to new business? Right?
Yes.
What you got? I have here review of the Intel system bid for security system. And I was going to ask you, Larry, I didn't
Yeah,
hear
what
about
was that?
Yeah.
And I apologize, I have meant to call you about 100 times, and
Well, you missed the 99, that's for sure, so.
In talking with both Scott and Ted, we're kind of the mind that maybe having some kind of security system here wouldn't be a bad idea.
I thought we had one.
We don't.
I think we have do we have a, like, intrusion alarm on our system, or is that just a fire alarm?
That's just a fire alarm. And so what we did is I had Don go get a buzzer, and we put it outside and we keep the door locked. But what this is for is, camera system to tell us who's at the door. And
I looked it over pretty extensively, knowing that, I think this is very affordable for what we're getting, and 100% agree we should just move forward with it.
If I could add I went through it also this afternoon, and I agree, it's, the only concern I had was down here. We do not, I don't know, did that include an alarm system down here?
no,
An intruder alarm system for down here would be important. You could be upstairs, and especially in the wintertime when it gets darker.
no, I agree. We were looking at the cost primarily, and the fact that during a public meeting, the doors have to be open.
Right.
And if somebody did break in here, there's really nothing in here to steal.
You'd be amazed.
And there's no, and,
We rent it
Yeah.
out a lot.
yeah, and there's no, passageway between here and upstairs.
I do
No
agree.
internal passageway.
Upstairs needs to be taken care of, and this proposal seemed more than reasonable to me, so.
So the total amounts to 2511?
Right.
Okay.
Do you need it? Do we,
Well, if we're going to move on, we have to have a motion.
Well, I'll make
I-
if you haven't looked it over yet,
Well, I kind of looked it over, but I wasn't really sure where there's where it came from, but, meaning what instigated this? Did we have any trouble with it before, or you just wanted to upgrade
Yeah,
just because we don't really have one anymore? Right?
Those guys are, I mean, we discussed it a little bit. I mean, they're trapped. If somebody comes through the door and they meet them armed, they're trapped. Now, if the door's locked and they have a video screen, they can see that before it happens. Get out the side door, or, that was kind of the big thing.
Documentation for anything that
Yeah.
may not happen.
And deterrence, I mean, there's
Full recording of everything that goes on.
a couple signs outside saying,
That might
Premises
have
are
a mile
monitored.
away. If I've got access to know that the alarm went off, I might even be down here before Mason County even gets here.
and if I understand this correctly, you should be able to access the cameras by phone?
yes.
Yep,
Cool.
so
Yep.
Travis can access
Okay.
it.
Proper systems, they're pretty inexpensive to have that be done.
Do you
Yeah.
want me to entertain a burglar alarm for down here as well?
I would at least like to see the doors and the windows for break-ins.
Okay,
It's not gonna be a huge expense more to add a couple of motion sensors down here. A
Right.
motion sensor and a window breaking sensor, and that's all you need.
Right.
So if they were gone for the weekend and we rented down below, what would have to happen to not set the
There
alarm?
would have to be
Like a
a
sub
keypad down
panel?
here, or you would have to, the keypad up there would have to be told to turn those zones off. So the zones down here would have to be told to be turned off on that keypad before the weekend.
Okay.
Can we have a separate keypad for down here?
You could.
Each one?
we could, but then,
With a separate-
but then we'd have to
For
give
people.
the renter the code.
That's just an
And they're gonna
initial
forget it
install
anyway.
cost to
It's-
add that equipment. It's not gonna add any more to any kind of monthly monitoring fees, unless you add a camera down here.
Since there's only one, is this something we should put out for bid? I know it's under the amount for any bid, but this is the only,
We can if you want, I just thought this was real reasonable. It's a company
Okay.
we already do business with, they're on the MRSC roster.
okay.
And this is who we pay our monthly fire
Fire
alarms.
alarms.
Oh,
too.
well, there you
Yeah.
go. Okay, so we have a relationship with them.
Yes, we
Okay.
do.
All right. Well, I'm good with the amount. That's not
Well, let me ask you
unreasonable
this
to me.
before you approve it. Would you consider adding, say, $1,000 to this to take care of down here?
You think it
You
would
know,
cost that much?
not to exceed $1,000.
What do you think?
I would be more inclined
Quite a
to
bit.
approve this and then find out, and then at a subsequent meeting.
Okay, either
Approve
way,
the
doesn't
additional
matter to
amount.
me.
Okay, yeah, I would agree with that. How about you, Ted?
I agree that upstairs needs to be taken care of first.
Yeah.
so.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. I guess we could go ahead and make a motion on it. I can't, somebody else has to.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we accept the intelligence system bid for the security system upstairs for the amount of $2,511.18.
Great.
Second?
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
So moved. All right, next is review the bid for the North Shore Dock parking lot. And that's from Zephyrs, correct?
Right.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, Commissioner Jackson, but you were asking about if we were to pull the stumps, because what we really need is more trailer parking.
Correct.
Yes.
I'm sorry, when I asked, I was thinking the back lot. I know the stumps that we're grinding, or talking about grinding down is not going to add more trailer parking.
But that's what I'm thinking is what we really need is trailer parking. Are we in such a pinch for the dock parking that we need to add additional parking, or if we have money to spend, should we look at spending it over at trailer parking?
Well, my personal opinion, I think it would be better well spent for trailer parking. Don asked me to put this on here and see what you guys thought, because he's the one that maintains all that stuff out there. So I said I'd, get a bid and I'll run it up the flagpole, see what happens.
The only benefit that I see for that expenditure would be the aesthetics of it, because it doesn't look great, but once that slough grows back up, it'll look like the rest of the side of the road. I think we should look into expanding our trailer parking.
Okay.
And I didn't know that Shears, do they own the property to the side or?
Yeah, to the,
Behind.
the Union side.
Yeah, because everything on that side, I mean, is pretty much bare and,
I mean, they might be able to be willing to work with
Yeah, I mean, it looks
and
perfect for
really, it needs to
expansion.
expand wider if you're gonna get more parking in there. And then there's only 2 weekends a year that we run out of parking.
Right.
To be
Yeah, 4th of
brutally
July,
honest about
Labor
it.
Day.
I mean, it's not like we're gonna be making a bunch of money by adding more parking, but we are gonna make it safer for the people who use it during the show season.
But would we have more parking if we had more space?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
width-wise, you
Yeah.
have to go wider. And
Yeah,
then we
absolutely.
would have more room.
The
Going
unions.
back is not going to actually add any new spaces for parking.
Well, I think we should look at how wide the property we own actually is.
Sure, and I think, and I
before
know
we
that we own
talk
further
about
back
buying
too.
anymore.
Right, yeah, I agree.
And-
Start off with a quick survey,
Yeah,
just to
Yeah,
know.
because maybe there's just some there that we could clear that we already own rather than,
and
Well, if
as,
shearers own it, they have equipment, maybe they'd be
Oh,
willing
I
to,
mean, yeah, they might be willing, I mean, I know they're doing pretty well, so.
sure, so maybe we could ask
We
them
could
to
always
help.
use a few more write-offs, right?
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Did he have a different boat this year?
yeah, pretty good
Yeah.
growth this year, yeah, I'll say that.
This is what I'm concerned of, is the closest boat ramp on the canal is gonna be Misery Point. And one of these days, Misery
On the
Point,
North Shore, correct, yeah.
It's
One of
gonna
these
have
days
to
it's gonna
be-
grow beyond capacity.
and it's, that whole ramp has gotta be ripped out and fixed. It's a mess. And so the only thing left, unless you wanna go over to Tawana State Park or go to Potlatch, is the Port of Allen.
Yeah.
And most people that launch their boats there at Port of Allen enjoy it, because it's easy to launch there, so.
And I'd hate to see a house wind up on that sheer property to where we lose that opportunity. Same with the property next door, and then next door to that, I mean, that's kind of was our expansion
They're about to burn
plans.
old Jesfield's place down.
They are?
Are
They're
they?
doing a controlled burn on it. You know about
Yeah, they are.
You might, what?
Yeah, he said, no.
I mean, I don't know what Jesfield's planning to do on the property after that gets burned down, but that actually is adjoining the overflow
Core
parking
property.
on the backside of the.
It's gonna be for sale, from what I know.
So, I mean,
Yep.
that's a perfect opportunity for the port to do something with it.
Yeah, great
I
opportunity.
mentioned the door being broken in the other day at the sheriff's.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the locking mechanism was taken out, so the wind might have blown it open, but,
Well, I'm over there at least once a week in that area. And one time it was locked, the next time it wasn't.
it's getting
Okay.
burned down on Saturday, the 19th.
No. Well, with this proposal, I don't know if we want to make any decisions on this yet. No?
No, I don't think we do.
Okay.
No.
Somebody will talk to Shears, right? And see if we can,
that'd be me.
okay. Sounds good?
That's a good choice.
All right. Next item is the discussion about the lobbyist services.
Yeah, I sent you all information from Gordon Thomas Honeywell, who we used at the city of Port Orchard very successfully. Like I said, the first year they got us $700,000, and the second year $400,000. And all I'm saying is, do you want them to come and do a presentation to you? You can ask some questions and, get some ideas of what is required and, what they're looking for and what they need and how we would use them.
I'm never opposed to a presentation, but would our budget handle that kind of funding? At least because it has to be upfront unless they get that money through a capital budget or something, but,
You'd have to bury it somewhere in the administration cost, probably.
I would certainly be interested in hearing a proposal from them.
Yeah, if you look through the stuff, it had a client list, and you can see who some of their clients are, as well as the amount of money they've gotten for people. It's just amazing.
Is there, so lots of cities. Is there fee structure based on size or budget, or does it?
Well, when I negotiated the deal with them in Port Orchard, and they were $40,000 a year, and I negotiated them down to 25 because we were poor and we were first time trying them out.
Right.
And they stayed with that structure, so
And then what, I mean, the city of Port Orchard's
I
budget?
believe the prices are negotiable,
Sure.
yes.
I mean, I'm just thinking, is your budget like 30 million?
Yeah.
And ours
8
is-
million general fund, 30 million,
Yeah. And ours
Total.
is 300,000, so.
600,000 almost.
Yeah, well, total, yeah.
Well, I'd be interested to hear about it, but,
Well, they had some funding options as well, so I
What you said
personally
in
believe
the
it'd be
past.
worth an hour's time to talk to them.
I agree. And it'd be nice to see what the fee schedule is in relationship to what projects we want to get done.
Exactly.
So if they could bring in the money for the park or help grease some skids for the park and for whatever projects else we're interested in, and we could negotiate a fee schedule. This next year is going to be a long session anyways, so it'd be nice to have a presence down there when we can.
Well, that's what I thought. Okay, well, I'll set it up and we'll go from there.
okay. Next item on the agenda is the review of Art Anderson and Associates, the bid for the Marina Project Engineering. So let me find that. All these documents, it's always interesting to,
It's only 13.
Just hunt and peck.
well, it's funny because when you look on this, it only shows the dates of everything, so you kind of have to,
Well, they have names after them. Come on.
but it doesn't show it on this, on mine.
Oh, it doesn't?
No,
Mine either.
Oh, really?
it just shows the date and then the last 3 letters of the
Oh,
title. So that's why we're,
oh.
Going through every
Okay.
one of them until we get to the right one.
Well, now I understand the problem.
there we go.
There it is.
Okay. I got a chance to look through a little bit, but probably not enough.
So Larry, in a kind of a nutshell, can you tell us how you envision this process going, that Art Anderson develops a bid spec and then would they go out to bid for it? Would they
We
be the
would.
project managers or?
That's not included in this,
Okay,
but I believe that, you know, in the past, I've run large construction jobs for electrical contractors and in another life. I could certainly handle this
Yeah,
myself.
I agree. And then so if we save money, does that mean we don't get that amount from capital funds or is there?
You know, I don't know the answer to that totally. I believe some of what is saved could be used as administrative fees. But I need to get some clarification about some of that. I've had the same questions, and I need to get the answers to them because I don't have the
And
answers
if
to
we're
them.
about economic.
And I'm not really sure who to ask. That's
Sure.
part of the problem.
If we're about economic development and job creation, would we want the contractors to do that work?
Well, possibly.
Yeah.
you know. I mean, the entrepreneur in me is trying to save money, you know. But because we still have to pay our people,
Sure.
and
Then their work comes with the guarantee, warranty.
well, there's that too.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't think glue and pipe together is,
You never know.
yeah. But okay.
I've got a glued pipe in my yard that I have to deal with.
I'm not going there.
Turn the sprinkler around and straight up.
That's where you plant.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting to see their fee schedule.
So we see, and I know we're just beginning, but we go to bid, then we award the bid, then the work starts. When do we get the money?
We
pay
have
it?
to front the money
So we
and
pay
put in
it.
for it, just like we did with the sidewalk project. It's the same kind of situation.
I thought
Yeah, we
they,
pay it up front and then file for reimbursement.
okay.
So with Art Anderson and Associates, what you're asking is for us to sign this agreement.
Or I can sign it with your approval.
Yeah.
You know, it exceeds my spending authority, but, you know, you make a motion.
Well, it's interesting with this fee schedule, it's pretty big. They are on the MRSC, correct?
Yes. I don't see them having any food and lodging costs here.
I think it's always transportation.
Yeah, actual cost plus
Travel costs.
10%. I guess that's kind of standard. I should be doing that.
And hopefully we won't need any expert witness testimony
Yeah.
from them.
This looks pretty, it's like a boilerplate that everybody
Yeah,
gets.
everything else
That's
is.
what it is.
Okay.
I've dealt with them once before. They designed Port Orchard City Hall, and we had some issues with some things, and they come in and took care of them. And it wasn't a big question, and they were real proud of the fact that they did the job, and they wanted it to be right. So,
Any thoughts, gentlemen?
I'm ready to get going.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I guess we need a motion then to accept that.
I would move that we accept Art Anderson and Associates
The contract.
utility upgrades contract. And is the amount fixed?
No,
The firm, for the scope of work stating above, we are proposing a firm fixed price of
oh, that,
$9,012.
okay, sorry. Thank you. 9,012,
That
yeah.
sounds like a motion.
That sounds like a motion. Do I hear a second?
Hey, second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, so moved.
And Larry, thanks for putting that in for the budget request, and thanks for doing that work.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, well, moving forward. Okay, discussion about the EV charging stations, electrical vehicle charging stations. Do we have a document on that one, or just,
no, he was supposed to get the information to me today, and I didn't get it.
okay, so we'll
But,
table that one?
We
We'll
can
have a
table it,
discussion.
but my question is, if it's not something you even want to think about doing, just tell me now, and that'd be the end of it.
Can we get a grant for it to fund it?
Possibly,
We can get a
and,
grant to fund it, the whole thing, which I know there is out there.
yeah, there is.
Then I think we
you know,
should.
That's how I got the ones in Port Orchard done.
I-
And
I know there's some in Belfair, I've never seen them in use.
I saw them there once when I went over to copy
Oh,
them.
you have?
Just once.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
They
maybe
look
somebody
like
in
they're
that building
around here.
owns one of
Hey.
those, owns an EV, I don't
I
know.
was talking to a guy that lives in Tahuya, and he's an Uber driver, but he goes to Seattle, and he's got an electric car, and he parks at a charging station and waits for the text to say he's got a customer.
Yeah, what we did in Port Orchard was we promoted the fact we had them on Facebook and Twitter and some other places, and we targeted people in downtown Seattle. Seattle has the largest concentration of electric vehicles in the country.
Really?
Yeah, and what we did was we targeted those people with, come to Port Orchard, you know, come visit our waterfront, you know, shop at our stores, eat in our restaurants, charge your car, and then go, you know, make it so you can get home. And
Of course, we're not exactly a city. Might be difficult. Where would we put it?
Right down here,
Okay.
you know, close to the dock, because as close to where the infrastructure's gonna be.
Yeah, for the power.
You know, what I'm thinking is, we're gonna, I don't know, we're gonna have to have some kind of new transformer's gonna have to go in there from the PUD to power the marina. So, while we're at it, that would be the time, is to get one big enough to handle these and to put the infrastructure in. It comes in 208 volt or 220 and 480. If we can get 480 here, which I don't know if it's available or not, that's the quickest charge. And every EV has a standard charging port, and at 480 volts, you can go from, you know, totally dead to a full charge in about an hour. And at 220, it takes longer than that. But, you know, if we're going to be putting infrastructure in and tearing up the street and digging ditches, this would be the time.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, just like as part of that, the grant thing, what I had in there was a pay station for here, and it's the same thing. We're going to have, you know, be putting power in the ground. Let's put the power in there for that.
Yeah.
Does the capital money pay for the pay station?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Well, I think you should pursue it.
Okay,
If you
well,
can find-
you know,
at least
I'll look
that's my
into it
opinion.
further, and if it's gonna work, good. And if it's not, and we can't get grant for it, then it's not. Then, but I think it'd be something to at least be looking at, because, you know, they're trying to electrify everything from Canada to Mexico.
Yeah.
And they've got I-5 about 3/4 of the way done now.
Really?
You know, yeah, when Bryce and I took that baseball trip last year, we did a lot of travel on I-5. And when we'd stop at the rest stops, you'd see them, yeah, especially in California. So, you
Great.
know, now they're working on the secondary roads, of which this is. So,
Great.
but, you know, I'm not a big proponent of us spending money out of our budget to do this, but if we can get grants for it, I don't think it's a negative.
How many were you thinking? How many stations?
2.
Oh, okay, good. That's all I was thinking, because I'd hate to be short-sighted, but, and not plan ahead, but I can't really see Mason County moving to electric vehicles as a huge population of us.
Oh, I don't think so either. And I don't think that's who our customers are gonna be. I think they're
No.
gonna be tourists. Although our water manager has a Nissan Leaf,
Does he?
yes.
Well,
Maybe we'll see them more often.
okay,
Yeah.
anything else then? I mean, so you're gonna,
Yeah, I'll
Investigate.
look into it and report back.
okay. Okay, next item is change the September meeting date.
Jeez, I can think that far ahead.
Oh, come on.
Well, it won't be that hard.
I do know that I start my vacation on Labor Day, September 3rd, and I'm gone for 13 days. So it might have to be before, or,
Really?
If you wanna do
September
payroll.
3rd, you're gonna be leaving September 3rd?
and the 1st is a Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, I am.
Well, you know, you don't have to be here. We
No, I
won't be here,
don't.
but,
No, I don't.
You
um,
could call in.
For budgeting and
From
everything,
Chelan?
it's not usually
Yeah.
real busy.
Traditionally, we've either done, well, before it was Wednesday, but we can do it Tuesday. How about you, Ted?
The 4th,
Yeah,
that's gonna.
Mess you up.
Yeah, I have a city council meeting I'll have to attend that day.
what about Wednesday, the 5th?
That should be good.
Okay, well, let's shoot for the Wednesday, the 5th.
I'll miss you guys.
I know you will. Okay,
Wednesday the 5th?
yes.
So could I ask to be excused from that meeting at this meeting?
Of course,
Okay, thank you.
we wouldn't fire you anyway.
It's not good to miss meetings, I know.
Okay, I think we're done with that. Next, public comment. Randy, welcome, thank you.
A couple of things, the grant that you're talking about usually, as you mentioned, is reimbursement grants. If you do save money, with just use $100 for example, $2,000 is $100, and you're paying 50% or 25%, and you don't use the whole $100, they'll only give you the percentage based on what you used. So you have to use the whole amount in order to get the whole amount back from them. It's usually reimbursable though, on how that's set up, and admin and other costs that you can throw into the project, you offset with the money that you would normally have paid them anyway, so it's a benefit for you, for you and the organization. The property up there at North Shore is not the Shears, it's Brook Ventures, which is Scott.
Who is?
The-
Oh, which is Scott,
Yeah.
okay.
Yes, I know.
The Scotts,
because I
yeah.
helped deal with those properties.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and also that same family, but it's a different relative owns that building that's being burned down, and stuff. But you might want to talk to him. A recommendation would be to lease the ground next to him, because I think he needs to save it for one of the projects that he's working on. But you might be able to lease that ground next to him pretty cheap. He actually had mentioned it years ago when I was still here about working with us on some of that stuff. Another one on the car charging. You might want to consider having a conversation with Johnson Controls. Johnson Controls is the one that we used at the county. We're also, there's going to be charging stations in Belfair, aside from the one at the log cabin. At MTA is putting in the fast chargers as well.
Oh,
And
gosh.
the log cabin, the guy you see use it on a regular basis, he's going to call it regular basis, actually the owner. He's the one that had them put in so that he'd be able to have it, the guy who owns the actual log cabin. When he invested, he had those brought in there. But they have been, I've seen them used a few times by other people. Thing with Johnson Controls, you might be able to have them look at even the construction on your dock, and if they could retrofit your whole building and perhaps save you enough money to where the cost savings on the electricity pays their amount. That's what we did at the county, but we have a lot more buildings, you can imagine, a lot more adequate buildings, so our savings paid a huge amount of what we had upgraded, we received more than the benefit than what we paid for the upgrades in the regular buildings. The jail and stuff like that was a little more comprehensive because heating and stuff like that. And they do also go out for grants. And help
Great.
go out for grants, so.
Duly noted, that's great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Randy. Anybody else? Travis? Oh, no? Okay.
I had a question on Sweetwater. I know that some of that property, when the school was dealing with it, was still contaminated, and I don't know if Andy ever got you the proof, because they were trying to get the proof from her too.
Well, that's kind of a long story. Mindy was here last month. There is no longer, can somebody help me explain that a little better?
It was in our meeting minutes.
Yeah,
even.
we did rescind that requirement because they were on the volunteer cleanup program. And remember, the tanks were removed. There were 2
Yeah,
tanks.
they had it cleaned, but the paperwork hadn't come through it, something like that. That was when the school was.
Well, the
That's
only
the
thing-
no further action letter.
Yeah,
It's something that they can't get no
Yeah.
matter what.
it's the
Was-
arsenic.
yeah.
It's been removed from that project list, so it's no longer even in the project.
Yeah, it was an issue. I
No,
know
but
that.
now that it's been removed, there is nothing to get.
Oh.
It's no
Yeah.
longer in the active account that it's a contaminated site, the site itself is. At least that's the way she explained it
Yes,
over here.
that's exactly right.
And the cleanup of the tanks that were there has been completed.
What was it, arsenic is something that they found?
Well,
All
arsenic,
over.
they found
Yeah,
arsenic
arsenic.
levels, but that is indicative of this area anyway.
Yeah, I think that was with the arsenic, they said, yeah.
And asphalt caps.
And plus, they'd be paving over that area where they found any arsenic levels, and it wasn't a high amount either, but.
Well, I had
they're-
never heard that the report came through, and I was.
Yeah,
That was my question.
okay. Anything else for the good of the order?
I got a question.
Okay,
Do y'all like this new agenda format or not?
I do.
sure,
I
yeah,
like it.
Yep.
it's very
Okay.
orderly,
I like
it's
it,
great.
yeah.
I do like separating out the old business items so we can discuss them in old business rather than interrupting you during your executive report
Yeah,
if we have questions. So it's,
Okay, I am going to move the security officer report in my report down.
sit to the last after adjournment?
No, he's not.
He likes to just hang out, right?
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Anything else for the good of the order?
I did want to mention Larry had sent out the planning for the future. I would like to go to that. I do have to check my schedule, but it looks pretty
Okay.
interesting for, I don't know if commissioners are invited or if the invite was to you, so.
The invite was to me, but it's one of those things where, he's a friend of mine. All I gotta do is call him up and say, hey,
And-
my commissioners wanna come,
I gotta
it
check my
shouldn't be a
schedule.
problem.
It's pretty soon, so I definitely have to
May
check my
23rd.
schedule, yeah. And it's in the middle of the day.
And I sent an
I'll be
invitation
gone,
to you
so-
as well.
I'll find it.
But if you can find out
No, thank you, though.
if in fact, I mean, I would like you to go for sure, but if there's an extra seat and I can
Yeah.
get,
It's in the conference room at the Port of Bremerton, so there's plenty of room.
okay, I would like to go to that, it's pretty.
Harry had
it's
actually
interesting.
talked to me about this, I don't know, a couple of months ago when he was thinking about setting it up. And he asked me then if I'd be interested in going and if I knew anybody else that would be. So that's why I felt comfortable just asking you guys if you wanted to go.
Great.
I'll be gone, otherwise I'd go. That's great.
And there's a membership drive for the EDC, which is the 24th, like, is that the same day?
No,
No, it's
23rd was.
23rd,
yeah. The 24th is at the Ridge.
yeah, 24th at the Ridge.
Now, speaking of the Ridge, Mudfest was a huge success.
Oh, good.
And we got some credit in one of the meetings for,
Awesome.
bringing Mason County to their attention.
Great.
That's great. And when is the,
If you look on my Facebook page, you can see the video.
event here at the port with the EDC?
That's like in August or
Okay,
something.
I just want to make sure that
I want to
we're,
say August
we're aware
23rd
and-
or something like that. Yeah, let me pull up my calendar and I'll look. But I'm pretty sure it's in August, because, Jim came in and talked to me the other day and we kicked it around a
good.
little bit, yeah. And he mentioned it again at the administrators meeting. August,
So it's just a couple of things for me.
Yeah, August
but-
23rd, 4
Okay.
p.m. And that's a Thursday.
So maybe you can remind me.
Maybe you could remind me. Us.
Okay.
I don't know why that feels like a vacation day as well, but
The 24th this month?
August.
August.
Are you gonna remind me to remind you?
You can send it out right now, couldn't you?
That's what we need.
Yeah, one other good
What
of
about
the
the
order thing.
financials?
Our bookings for the gazebo seem to be up slightly.
Oh,
Oh,
good.
good.
And the new rate schedule for it is being helpful.
Good.
No complaints about it?
No.
I still
Nobody-
think we're
Nobody
the-
has said a word.
Yeah, I think we're the cheapest venue for that type of event.
Yeah.
That's all I
That's
had.
great. Okay.
Thank you, Mary. I'm gonna-
Financial seminar, who's going?
I'm gonna have to miss it.
Yeah, Paul, me missing it
Yeah,
too.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm gone, but.
Yeah,
I
you
have-
answered, okay.
It is one of
So
my
it's gonna be
favorites.
Larry.
though. It is, I like that, financial.
Okay, Kate?
Yeah, I'll mention something for good of the order. Randy was there too, at the last opiate stakeholders meeting. Our group has been recognized nationwide for our program.
Well, that's awesome.
Really? That's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Did you hear that?
What it is we're the only one to have this specific grant given to us.
Yeah.
And some of that is in part because of everything we've been doing. We did some stuff down south first, and actually brought some treatment that never existed. Now we have treatment north and south, and this opioid group is literally bringing so many things together so fast
Great.
that it's pretty
Yeah, it's
impressive.
being recognized, yeah.
Yeah, Bo Bakken needs a huge pat on the back. Everybody would want to take credit for all kinds of things, but the truth of the matter is, there's one person that keeps throwing it on his back and putting it together, and everybody keeps showing that it's him. There's just no way around it. So we all need to thank him, because we're going to have I never used to be a fan of this stuff. I get
We've all changed.
I get
our
changed, my
attitude.
mind get changed.
Mhm.
The idea of a syringe exchange used to drive me nuts. It would make me crazy, but then you start realizing that it does have value because they're breaking into things to steal them. But more than that, if we can keep them being thrown on the ground, we have less chance of our kids getting stabbed with stuff in our parks. And so all of a sudden, we're in the middle of all that. Through that organization, they put together, found out that we had a really bad connection from the public and law enforcement to the people that would be able to help these folks. So now, because of Chief Dracobly, I always thought it was Dracobly, but it's Dracobly. He told us that we don't know what to do. We get out there, we have no place to send them. Now they have several numbers they can call who will take it individually, walk them through it. If they need somebody that night, they'll get to them that night. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's all happened, all out of that.
That's great.
All of
And
it.
there's more coming, so.
That's great.
It's the first time we've had north and south really working. The first time I saw it was when we were dealing with the hospital district and getting that formed. That kind of brought the two communities together.
That's
And the
wonderful.
hospital district here meets on a quarterly basis with down in Shelton.
Speaking of that,
So
did
that
we-
we,
I wish I could say that it was unified, but there's still this desire to grab what's happening here because it's working and to steal it and have it run out of Shelton.
EDC membership.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
already happened twice. I've been in a small little war over it because they got some more grant money, they want to take it to run the thing, and the problem is,
At the
they
gazebo.
don't have it done in the first place.
As long as we didn't
For
run
those
it.
doing it, we need to empower the people that are doing it. This Kids Have Physicians Clinic, they rock.
That's great.
It's because of them, that same organization, we were able to put the connection between the school district and them for having that healthcare system in the schools.
Peninsula.
That came out of
came
those
out of the,
thing too.
Wow, that's
It's
wonderful.
all taking advantage of opportunities while we're there and making it all work, put a piece together.
So maybe we need to recognize Bo
We need to recognize Bill.
for all
the
his
whole
work.
community needs to. 'Cause
Yeah.
He doesn't flaunt it at all.
He doesn't
But
want
he's
any
behind
credit.
it all.
I mean, that's the type of guy he is.
We work with him,
And
it's
he's
true,
also, the health department, was keeping everything down in Shelton too. And,
We're breaking it loose, we're making, we're
Yeah.
forcing them down here.
that's
The
great.
Last meeting, we had 4 to 5 people from Mason County itself in there, and the people that have their organizations are starting to come up here to this meeting. So,
Wonderful.
what I explained to them, it can also start in North Mason and flow south, there's nothing wrong with that.
Right?
yeah,
We won't exclude him.
Yeah.
yeah, but it really was nice to hear that the other day.
That's great. Thanks for bringing that to
Yeah.
our attention. That's great.
I have a couple things.
Yes.
WPP, oh, we just asked that. I'm not real happy about locking up the office during office hours. It's a public building, and I'm just not real comfortable with that, so.
Okay. So we can,
Can I address that?
I think the cameras and everything else is great, but me having to jump up and run out to
Right.
the door, even if we got some kind of expensive buzzing in system where somebody could come in once we okay them, it's still, what if I'm in there by myself, I pass out, I'm at my desk on the floor? Who's gonna come and get me? At least if somebody's coming in the office here and there, coming by to chit chat or something, they have a chance of finding me. Otherwise, they don't.
yeah, good point.
I looked at it more, Leanne, as that somebody coming in here to cause problems.
Yeah,
And I know what you're saying, especially if you're here by yourself and something bad happens to you, who is, unless there's some panic alarm that you can press to get help.
yeah.
But I'm more concerned about people using this as an advantage and take advantage of somebody that's in here by themselves. Not only you, Larry, or both you together, so.
Yeah, there's one time in 15 years where I was uncomfortable, and I always have it where I can call somebody that's close, and I did. Just called up our old maintenance guy, and he says, if there's ever anything, call me. I'm right down the street. Just say you need lights in the gazebo or something, and we're perfect. And I have mace. I mean, I don't know.
Good.
Would there be a buzzing mechanism?
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be locked all the time. I mean, you can unlock the door
We
manually
work
by
hard to
yourself.
open this up for the public and everything.
Well, I agree.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I never thought we needed security systems until one of my receptionists got stabbed by a pencil.
Nice, yeah,
And then all of a sudden the glass went up
yeah.
right after that incident. And that's the thing that, maybe it's because I see it all the time
Yeah.
in my profession, but Scott's, but I see the people that walk up and down this road and see the people that are using our transit system, and some of those people I've dealt with when I used to work here.
Yeah.
So I'm more concerned about the security of you and Larry in here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it would be nice if we had a constant clientele of people that you knew constantly coming in here, and all they want to do is support business or socialize. But I'm just afraid one of these days, it's not going to be that person that walks through that door, so.
You know, we had a guy,
If they want to, they'll kick the door and they'll come in anyway.
we had a guy just a week ago. He apparently got kicked out of the mobile home park down the road and came in here and wanted to rant and rave about it. And, you know, I was here by myself, and it's like, well, I don't know what to tell you, but, you know, this isn't the place to complain.
We are
Yeah,
the only
people
form of
come
government
today.
here, or one of the only forms of government, and it's still a public building. It's still open to the public. It's still accessible to the public. It's just not accessible at their convenience. It's accessible at our convenience.
And even if you decided to, I would feel more comfortable if during the daylight hours, it was open, where you, at least you could visually
With
see.
cameras and stuff. I
And
mean,
with the
that's-
cameras and all that stuff, and when it starts to get dark early,
Yeah,
and you're walking out to your car, it's kind of nice to look and see, is anybody on the parking lot or anything, so.
yeah. Randy always used to walk us out.
Do you have a crystal to hang off your rearview mirror?
The what?
A crystal to hang off your rearview mirror?
Something to at least dangle in your rear view mirror. That way
No.
if anybody's in it, it'll shake and you
Crystal
can
reflects light extremely
Yeah.
brilliantly.
I used to have one 'cause I thought they were
You can't
cute.
even hide on the other side of the car and sit there for 5 minutes and not be moving. So
Oh,
when you're going to your car, you see that, and you look at that, you know somebody can either be in your car or on the other back side of your car waiting for you.
wow.
And then you stay away from it, but you should definitely have one. That's how I told you that years ago.
Yeah, that's a good tip.
You would need a disco ball for your truck though.
That's so funny.
Rottweilers work good.
True.
Yeah, that's true. Dobermans too. Right. Okay. Excellent. Anything else? Move to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay. So be it. Thank you, folks.